Welcome to Fouts Boxing Theory. In this video, we're going to be talking about all-time great mistakes, okay? And this mistake is going to be pivoting on the front foot. And we have a little curriculum that we're going to be looking at. These are the videos we're going to be taking a look at today. It's a little bit of Ryan Garcia, a whole bunch of Terry Norris, with some Julian Jackson, some Mayweather Maidana, Mayweather Leonard. And then we're going to be talking about why Terrence Crawford may or may not be the GOAT. Okay. Now, all this is based on theory that I created to teach boxing, to understand boxing, to be. When I was a kid, my dad said, well, there's always someone, no matter how bad you are, there's always someone better than you, whatever he would say to me. And it just gets you thinking, like, how do you just be the baddest dude? How do you have the least amount of flaws? How do you have the most amount of, productive sequences? How do you put it all together too, right? Because some guys are fast, some guys are this. Anyway, one of the rules that I learned was about pivoting on the front foot. That it's one of the most dangerous things is to be on the front foot. We're going to be talking about that, and we're going to start with a little lesson from Ryan Garcia. Okay, now Ryan Garcia knows better than anybody, right? That you can't just be on the front foot, right? When he's there, he's so dangerous. Look at him here. Ready? We would know what he's doing. Boom! Look at how fast his left hooks are, right? And everybody knows as soon as you get to the front foot, he's looking to challenge here as his opponent gets close, gets into range. It's very obvious that they're both very close. They're in range to hit each other, right? Everybody knows when you bring your weight there, that's what's going to happen. But when it doesn't work, right? Look at him again, controlling him, smashing him with a rear hand. Again, the front foot's where the boxing happens. Now look at, he's on the back foot here. He can't even actually really throw a very good left hook, right? On the back foot, all this, his weight's already there. He's going to have a very, very difficult time kind of swinging down onto a target from this position without being able to cross the line, follow any of the rules. But he can't be stuck in this position for long, right? Now, he's back up. Maybe he can throw a left hook now. He's more close to his opponent's line, right? But no targets there, right? Again, it's very dangerous to get to the front foot, but you inevitably have to, right? And it's a very important idea to understand that while it's dangerous, right, you can't just be there. And there are guys who are there all the time. A lot of karate boxers or a lot of people who don't know how to change positions, don't know how to cross the line. They don't know how to, they're usually like the bladed stance fighters. Okay. Now we're going to take a look at, one of the guys when I was a kid that I would watch this guy and I thought he was magic. A little bit of Terry Norris. Okay. And we're just going to play him in the background. Mean stare. Look at him. Terrible Terry. But I couldn't figure out how he was so smooth. He hit so hard, like he didn't have like a lot of knockouts, right? But he was one of those guys that he was also almost always kind of on the front foot, you know. You see a little bit of head movement here, right back to the front foot. All of his striking right here, by the way, boom, boom, all of his punches, right? Just right in that zone, right? And that's a little bit one of the reasons why he didn't have the most amount of power. You can see right in that zone. Look at how dangerous he is, right? Now, when you think about things that are inevitable, right? Ryan Garcia has a crazy good left hook. He only has to get to the front foot and have you attack him while he goes back like this and then runs away so that he can reset and then boom and then runs away and then boom. Like we saw how long it took against Devin Haney, right? He wasn't really able to set it up. He wasn't really able to make it a manageable thing, a predictable thing, right? But there's an inevitability to it. It's his left hook is so fast, right? That's why a fighter who's so flawed can make it so deep in the rankings. So, he can have so much success, right? It's the, a little bit of those outliers, right? Oh, well, if you hit so hard, if this. Now, we're going to be talking about a little bit of that stuff too, but if we take a look at Mr. Terry Norris, just take a look at his hand speed, right? Take a look at how quick he is. A little bit of head movement, right? Good combinations, very good power. We're actually going to be watching that fight, so skip ahead. But this is how good you have to be with your combinations and your speed and your power to be the guy that's allowed to stay there, right? Otherwise, you have to be the guy retreating. But on average, he hits hard enough and he has enough speed that he gets to fight for that position more often than his opponents, right? Now, this is a little bit of like a weight bully kind of thing, you know. Like Terry Norris is also on average like a big guy for the weight class, so you know he's got a little bit of an advantage there. So we want to give him, you know, the benefit of the doubt. But when solving this, you know, what's going on? One of the things that's going on is he's got good hand speed. One of the things going on, he's got enough power with enough hand speed that he gets to be on the front foot and throw more punches than his opponents, right? And on average, right, he is doing more damage. Okay, just like Ryan Garcia when he hits a guy with the left hook, you know. Now there aren't even very many people who can survive the first left hook from Ryan Garcia, right? As we saw evident with his, like, you know, first however many contests, right? But anyway, a very, very, very good front foot fighter. However, there are other skills that you have to have. You can't just be a guy who's bashing forward with 1-2s and 1-2-3s. And Terry Norris, again, because he was so good in this position, he also understood the danger of that position as well. As we're going to transition into a little bit of Terry Norris versus John the Beast Mugabi. Now, Terry Norris, or John Mugabi, crazy record. 36 wins, 2 losses, 36 KOs. Okay? Now, when we think about inevitabilities and we think about, man, this guy didn't do any of that and he was successful. This guy didn't do any of that. Like, Ryan Garcia doesn't do any of this that I teach and he's still successful. Are you Ryan Garcia? You got that left hook? Then you better listen. John Mugabi, he's not going to do any of this shit either. And we're going to see he's going to pay for it, right? But also, there's inevitabilities, right? You still got to get on the line with that guy and punch him. You still got to do it. Now, real quick, I'm the first boxing coach in history to be able to figure out all of striking, all of punching technique. And if you guys want to learn how to do some of that stuff, again, here's a little bit of the pricing for the Fouts Boxing Academy. Okay, it's going to teach all this stuff. It has all the drills, all the positions that I want you to practice, all the drills that I want you to practice, all the circling, all the stuff that we're going to be going over in this video to teach you to prevent how do you not wind up circling and pivoting on the front foot, which we haven't really gotten to, but we're going to get to in a minute. Don't worry about it. But it's $20 for a month. Okay, that's not that great, right? 6 months is $100. That's a little better. 160 for a year breaks down to about $13. $13 a month for semi-private coaching. You just post your videos. I tell you suck, and I tell you how to do it better. Okay? But there's also Fouts Boxing Academy videos that you can watch and learn from. You're like, okay, I'm not doing this, I'm not doing that, I'm not doing this. Already made from the people who have already sent in their videos. Okay? So you can get a head start, you can learn. This is going to teach people how to start from zero. Okay? Just a few years ago, you can go look at my videos when I was posting stuff and I was kind of fat and I was still like working my full-time jobs. And like, I don't really got very many excuses at the moment. I am very busy. I do this. Okay. I do the YouTube stuff. Oh, I hate it. I train people in person. I also have to work out again because I can't be fat and be doing this stuff. So I got to show you guys. Right. But then I also do private coaching online, which is $400 a year. If you want private coaching online, it's one-on-one. At some point, I'm going to make you post your progress because you're going to start looking good. And I'm going to be like, look, you guys, I invested all this time in you. I look at your drills. I give you time and attention. Okay. I pay very close attention to everything that you send in. I try to watch all the videos as soon as you send them in. I may not even get to watch them and like comment on them, but I try to watch them immediately as soon as they get posted. I take a break and whatever I'm doing, got to watch this bullshit, not bullshit, but I'm going to make you guys better. And I'm going to be proud of it, and I'm going to show you off to the community and be like, see, you guys fucking work hard, But anyway, that's $400 a year. If you send in videos every day, I'll try to work with you every day, okay? Some days right now, like I'm driving. I'm in Philadelphia right now. I'm about to be leaving back to California. I can't watch videos on days that I drive like 12 hours a day, okay? So anyway, $400 a year. It's going to have all the ways that I teach how to do these things correctly. Okay? There's no secrets. I'm teaching you the Fouts Boxing Academy, and I'm going to teach you how to avoid all these fatal mistakes. Blah, 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 blah. Now, getting back to the film study. If you guys want to take a look, okay, just pause it real quick. If you want to look at the if you want to take a look at these, just pause it and you can read the reviews. Okay, blah blah blah, great stuff. Yeah, and then yeah, let's get back to the film study. So we're going to take a look at John the Beast Mugabi. Okay, and now again, when we talk about inevitabilities, okay, John the Beast Mugabi gets on the line. If you don't knock him out, it looks like he's knocking you out, right? So you got to hit him and you got to get off the line, and you got to hit him and you got to get off the line, and you got to make him chase you. A lot of times, people get away with being very, very hard punchers, but they don't learn any other skills. Like Ryan Garcia sucks, right? We all saw how embarrassing he is. Oh, don't hit me, man! Don't. No. Come on. I'm okay. Right? But like he's cowering, right? He can't even get into position to punch, right? But he doesn't wind up learning all the skills necessary because he's so dangerous on the line. Okay, again, Fouts Boxing Academy. I'm the first guy to figure it out. Exactly, I can teach you exactly what Ryan Garcia is doing. Exactly. Okay, Fouts Boxing Combat System, or join the Discord. But he hits so hard, he just knocks people out if they get on the line. If they make any mistakes, right? Now again, perfect technique and perfect this. Who has it, right? Now, as Terry Norris gets to the front foot, he's going to be parrying John Beast Mugabi's jab, but he can't lose control, right? Because he can't get hit with the rear hand. So he has to control the jab while maintaining in a position where he can still interact with the rear hand, right? Now, this is another all-time great mistake. We're going to talk about it a little bit here, but take a look at how he tries to block the body, right? And also he's not guarding the head at all. We're going to take a look at this when we watch him fight another fighter, Julian Jackson. But he knows that he has to interact with the right hand. He knows that it's coming. He had to interact with the jab multiple times, right? As John Beast Mugabi got to the line, and now he has to be able to be ready to interact with the rear hand, right? So he tries to get down under it, right? Still may have gotten hit. Now look at that. Beautiful. Down, comes up, and he has to tell that guy, hey, man, if you jump on my line like that, I'm going to smack you. So he smacks him, right? This is one of the ways that you get away with having the flaws that you do, right? You gotta tell your opponent, hey, you can't feint that, you can't do that move, or I'm going to hit you, okay? So he hits him when he goes into that move. Parrying the jab, coming down here, getting his guard, getting another good look at the line. Now again, to the front foot, making it to the danger zone, right? That pivoting zone, making an attack on the line, and then making a peel, okay? By the way, peeling, that's a Fouts boxing term. If you hear anybody else talking about it, that's a personal term. That's what I taught myself. That's how I taught myself getting off the line meant. So he's going to be peeling, right? Beautiful, making an attack on the line. Now, is he going to do one of three things? What? Is he going to make a follow-up attack? Is he going to get off the line? Or is he going to pull? Right? Those are the only three things that he can do. So he peels. He does not make a follow-up attack. He exits the line, right? So he's going to exit the line with a peel. And now he's going to be moving around the line and figuring out, where do I want to go? Where do I want him to go? So he's going to be circling, right? Some beautiful, beautiful all-time great skills. We're going to be talking about circling in a future video. But particularly, we're going to be focusing on the pivoting here. But he's going to get to a position, right, where he's going to challenge him. Now he's in position to challenge him here, right? Now he's got his guard up here. Now he gets attacked, and he's like, I'm leaving, right? And again, parries the jab twice and anticipates a rear hand shot. Again, not losing control of the line. This is the cost of business. This is the only way. Look at how many times he has to interact with his opponent. Coming forward, boom, makes a move. And then he has to still be ready to and then keep going. Right? This is how deep the sequences go. Right? Again, back in the day, guys were killers, man. They were killers. Okay? Let me check my messages. Oh, right, I know, Discord. But still ready to interact with the right hand. Right? Again, understanding once he got to that zone on the front foot, as soon as he got attacked, there's going to be follow-ups. There's going to be a lot of work coming. Again, you got to be ready, right, to continue boxing and getting to that front foot. Notice, we've seen him make it all the way to the front foot. But notice as soon as he got to here, he started penduluming, not trying to cross the line. Again, not trying to get to that front foot, not trying to get to that danger zone, right? He knows that that's the moment where if his opponent is ready, he's going to snap into a shot. He's going to catch him with the move, right? And instead, so he's going to pendulum, right? And then get his guard up, and now he's going to bring himself to that line and cross that line right there, right? Getting to the zone, and then exiting, moving off the line, trying to find enough space. Look at the big step that he's taking around here while he has control of the jab to make his little pivot here, right? Again, ready, still ready. He didn't have a big wide pivot on the front foot like this thing. Again, that's a fake move. That's a fake move. Again, take a look at Terry Norris being on the line, ready to interact with this guy. This is the guy. John Mugabi is the guy that you're not allowed to make any mistakes against. And here he is, not making the mistakes, right? Interacting with the jab, getting off the line, circling, trying to find an opportunity. Again, not crossing his line. See, we take a look at this little position here. What do you mean not crossing his line? Well, here their heads are, right? When his head crosses the line, and if his head crosses the line, that means he's going to be bringing his right shoulder to the line. That means likely he's going to be making a right-handed attack. He's going to be looking to cross his line, right? So this position here doesn't allow them to, but it also allows him to see that if they take a break right here, which one of them is going to make an athletic move, right? Which one I'm going to call a Fouts boxing term, right? He's going to snap across his line, okay? So going from this position here where they are and just blasting out of it, right? Boom, trying to make a right-handed attack, right? But that's going to move his head, okay? So making it to that position before they get there, right? And trying to get planted, right? Trying to get into a position where he's ready to interact, right? Okay, not doing that while he's in range with his opponent, making an attack, okay? Now, not challenging him directly on the line. He knows that John the Beast Mugabi just got planted, so he's ready. He's ready to spring and throw a shot. You see how coiled he is? So Terry Norris is going to he's going to exit the line. Okay, he's like, nah, not this one here, right? And what's he going to do? Is he going to pivot on the front foot to do it? He's going to take a big step over here, right? So now he's cleared this big ass space here. He's got his head to the left side, right? He's crossed the line already. He's already there, right? Now John the Beast Mugabi has to approach the line with Terry Norris already ready in position by the time he's ready to meet him on the line, right? There was enough space there where now he's on this position, right? So he's in front for position, ready to attack him, okay? Here he is again, trying to wait. Again, this is the only position that Ryan Garcia can throw a punch in, right? But notice, Ryan Garcia doesn't know how to circle and create enough space and hold the guard to continually get to this position to make him dangerous throughout the whole fight, right? He doesn't understand where to place his feet. He doesn't understand his body mechanics don't allow him to do it, right? Because he doesn't understand. Here we have Mugabi trying to cross the line. Take a look. Hey, what's over there, bro? What are you gonna go over there, right? Again, circling around, stepping around. Okay. Now look at this big step here, right? Trying to get to that position where he's gonna interact with him again and get planted. Get enough space between him so that he can get to his front foot position, so he can control him, keep him on the outside for as long as possible, so he can continue finding an opportunity to get planted with him and bring him to him, right? Boxing him, right? Boxing him. This is what traditional boxing really is. Oh, he's a boxer, right? But this is traditional boxing. The skill being circling and stepping around your opponent, right? We're going to get to that a little bit later when we talk about the GOAT. The GOAT? I don't know. Maybe it's the GOAT. So, again, when he gets to the front foot, pay it very close attention. Again, all-time great skill, parrying the jab. There's absolutely no way a guy who can't parry the jab is beating John Mugabi. Okay, go look at all the guys that he's ever fought. He probably, Sonny Liston just bashes him with the jab, and then they're like, oh, after so many jabs, and then they just get hit with a right hand, a left hand, a right hand, and a left hand, and they go down, right? Who do we know that else like that? Golovkin, right? Very similar, right? If you can't even beat the jab, if you can't stop him from hitting you, eventually he's just going to pound you down and, again, inevitabilities, right? It took a guy, right? Anyway, getting back to the film study, all-time great skill, parrying the jab so he can see the right hand coming. Common sense, right? Common sense, right? Again, maintaining control of the line, finding a space to move around so that he can start wasting time, right? Waiting down the clock, not allowing the Mugabi to be planted with him, right? This is an idea. We'll talk about this in a later episode, right? Now, again, getting to that position, moving away. Now, as soon as the space gets cut off, right? Oh, by the way, if you guys are enjoying the video, go ahead and give it a super like. One of those things where you like throw me a couple bucks, you buy me a coffee or whatever. Really appreciate it. Goes a long way. I make a lot of these videos and all this stuff and a lot of this planning and all these lessons or whatever at coffee shops. It definitely helps to have a cup of coffee. Um, yeah, I know I hate the sales pitch too, but honestly, you guys don't want to join the Discord. Discord's dope, man. Over 70 people who are uh, in the program, or yeah, 70 people in the program posting. It's a whole community. Also, people post links to the streams. Just kidding, just kidding. Um, but yeah, a whole community of people who talk boxing. Oh, also we do like boxing betting stuff too. We go over fights specifically to find good bets. I'm usually only looking for one pick or one bet because I don't wait so long. It's hard to like wait till the day of the fight, look at the odds, and be like, oh, exactly what round do I think is gonna, So we just look for good underdog bets. We got a couple of good ones this week actually. But anyway, Fouts Boxing Academy, it's dope. It's a community. It's a real community of boxing enthusiasts. Okay. And also like a couple of MMA guys in there as well. Anyway, getting to the position where he knows they're going to fight, right? And then setting it off, right? Giving him a couple of feints, pushing him off the line. We can see not that many great stuff from John Mugabi, right? But again, his thing is not really, right? Getting off the line with people, right? It's getting on the line with them, right? Again, circling, stepping around, and then this is very important. So I'm going to go back here, right? Pushes him off the line, and now he decides to, again, look at him when he's taking this step. Very, very, very wide step, right? Outside the range of John Mugabi. And Mugabi immediately takes a large step himself to try to start intercepting him on the front foot. Boom, throws the first jab, right? Throws the second jab. Parry, parry, and then he's going to peel, right? So great control of the line again. Even when he was out of position, and it happened when he didn't want it to, Norris was trying to take a positional advantage, so maybe he could stay there and look to interact with John Mugabi. And again, look for a hole himself, look for an opportunity to land a hard shot, like we saw him jump on his line last time, right? Maybe do another one of those, right? Where maybe Mugabe's going to give him a hole where he can just kind of smack him, right? Because we saw how fast he is. We know that he's quick. Now again, stepping over, right? Crossing his line here, getting into the position where he's like, okay, I'm ready. And then going with his jab as he tries to bring his weight to the line. Putting pressure on him. Now, very, very interesting, okay? Because he's going to get to that front foot here, right? Boom, boom. And now as he steps around to the front foot himself, take a look at Mugabi. He's on the front foot right now. His back foot is doing his pendulum walk. Okay, so he's going to bring his walk here. Boom, take the step. And as he brings his weight to the front foot, again, why don't we pivot on the front foot? Because that's where everybody knows you're going to be, right? He's going to be bringing his weight to the front foot here, right? It's one of the most obvious times, right? We see it coming. And back in the day, these guys were killers, right? Very, very, very highly competitive. So they all have to be so good at circling and moving. And, again, we saw like what kind of stuff like Ryan Garcia can get up to, right? In this division, in this era, right? Now, again, we're hitting a golden age. In a few years, all the champions are going to be killers. They're all going to be killers. Okay, Fouts Boxing Academy. But he's about to take that step onto the front foot here, right? And as he gets to the front foot, Terry Norris says, "Boom! I'm going to shoot the jab at you." Now, Mugabi catching the jab, and then he looks to make an attack. He's going to break onto his line, pendulum roll, right? Taking the step and throws a body shot. Now, again, real quick, when we take a look at these holes, you can't block the head and the body. Okay. Now we're going to talk about that a little bit later. Okay. Getting the front foot, boom, intercepts it, blocks that shot, makes it out of that position before Mugabi can throw a left hook or before he can catch his balance, before he has a follow-up, blah, 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 blah. And again, blasts him. And again, demonstrating that he has enough speed and enough power to be dangerous, right? In spite of, he doesn't, and again, a lot of the structure, boom, front foot structure here, right? Front foot structure, not changing. Very, very good hand speed, boom. Connecting these punches very, very quickly, right? Very, 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 very impressive hand speed. And again, so good on that front foot. However, take a look at how well he still boxes, right? Again, I don't know where Terry Norris fits in like all-time greats and all this stuff, but Terry Norris is one of the guys that I used to love to watch. He's just amazing, he's just so good, Now, I want you guys to pay attention to not Terry Norris right now. I want you to pay attention to John Mugabi. Again, when we think about inevitabilities, when we think about all the things that a guy is going to be forced to learn in the gym, John Mugabi is the guy that you can't be on the line with. When is John Mugabi the guy losing on the line? Never. So he's never the guy that's backing up and boxing and doing the sweet dance and doing the... So why is a guy like Terry Norris so good at the moving around, but also so good on the front foot? Because he doesn't actually have that much power, right? There's an inevitability there too, where if he's not one-shotting guys, he's going to have to move around. He's going to have the rest of the skills because he can't just blast out the top 1% athletes, the guys who are really strong. Sorry, John Mugabi, even though you're that guy, right? He got him with a good shot, But you're not going to be blasting out everybody, right? Now, we're going to talk a little bit about Mayweather. I'm going to talk about that in a second. But you're going to be forced to box and move around and learn that skill and learn all the things, an inevitability if you wind up becoming a great fighter, And I think at the time, I'm not sure, right? But the pound for pound rankings, I've heard people say he was one of the pound for pound best fighters, and was like a pound for pound fighter, and I believe it. He had a bunch of losses or whatever, but Terry Norris was a very, very, very talented fighter. Very, very talented fighter. But again, what do we know about this guy, John Mugabi? Nobody's knocking him off this line. Nobody's pushing him around. Nobody's forcing him to learn how to box, how to step around his opponent. So here he is in a dream scenario where his opponents are just jumping into him. Look at him. Walked right into this left hook here, right? Coming forward, boom, smacked him with the left hook. This is exactly what John Mugabi has been waiting his whole life for, is someone who's just going to walk into a shot. And again, Terry Norris, not that much good head movement, not that much good front foot, back foot play, right? Mostly boxing on the front foot. When he is forced to interact on the front foot as he's moving there, still very capable of catching and parrying jabs and moving, right? Very athletic, doing all the things. Again, he has to, if he's always on the front foot, mostly a front foot fighter, not really crossing the line, makes his head predictable, right? Very good. Good enough, Again, this is what that stat ratio, if you had to write down the stats on the thing, you have to be this tall, you have to have this long a reach, you have to be this good at this much speed, you have to have this much power, you have to have this much knowledge of circling, right? And this much skill at, but, and it turns out that it's a really high amount if you can't do all the things. We're going to talk about a little of the things that he does wrong, getting to the back foot, being able to hang out on the back foot and bait, right? Which is something he doesn't really do. But anyway, gets smacked by a shot, but he's not really planted. He's hurt. He's not really coordinated. He's slow, right? Again, he's not really in position, right? Getting to the front foot. And as soon as he gets to the front foot, again, look at Mugabi trying to catch the jab. Again, he sees the weight coming. Beautiful. Ryan Garcia can't do this, right? Interact with the jab, control space, right? And then again, Terry Norris smacking him while he's getting smacked. Again, it's literally John Mugabi's wet dream. Someone's just going to jump on the line with me and let me smack him in the face with a left hook. But he's hurt. He's dazed, so he can't follow up. He can't really make him pay for it. He can't really land super clean. Poor guy, right? Poor guy. Just kidding. He got outboxed. Shoots that jab to the body. Now again, what's John Mugabi going to do? When you get on the line with him, he's not going to box you. He's going to punch, right? So he waits for his opportunity to punch. He's slow. He's uncoordinated. He made Mugabi go first. Mugabi took some low-hanging fruit, tried to steal a jab to the body just to interact with him. Doesn't know how to feint very well, going backwards, and then gets smacked. gets smacked again, right? Gets in this position, right, where he's in a position where he can't get away from Terry Norris, and Terry Norris is in a front foot structure, and Terry Norris is just going to Manny Pacquiao him, right? Gets to that position, boom, 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 right? Too much athleticism, his ability to throw too many punches on too many beats, right? And he can just, Manny Pacquiao him. Just a storm of punches. He doesn't have to try to cross the line. The guy just can't get off the line with them. Now, again, what's he going to do? He's going to try to punch when you get close to him. He's not going to try to catch. He's not going to try to parry. He's not going to try to block. These are not skills that he was forced to learn, right? Because of his natural attributes. Now, at the Fouts Boxing Academy, you can learn all the power, okay? So you can be John the Beast Mugabi. You can learn all the boxing. So you can be Terry Norris. You can be Terry Norris and John Mugabi. Have we ever seen a fighter like this before? Man, that's crazy, right? We're going to be talking about a few things a little bit later. But again, I just want to finish this fight because this is, he annihilates this guy. Now, again, just gets him on the line. Where is he going to go? He's got to make a stand eventually, right? He doesn't want to do it when he gets too close to the ropes. So he controls him with the jab, pendulums in. Boom, gets kind of swept with a little bit of a hook. Boom, right on the temple, right on the top of the head. Boom, just smashes him. Excellent, excellent shot. Boom, boom, right? The guy can't get off the line. Now, I want you guys to pay attention to this. Bladed stance fighters, right? Okay, all you guys who get stuck on the back foot, Philly shelling like this, very, very, very dangerous, okay? Terry Norris got him on the back foot, shoots the jab. He tries to pull to the back foot, can't get out of the position before the right hand comes because he's tired, because this, because that, because his opponent's faster than him, because what? Simply because you got feinted and now you got stuck because your opponent was able to do what now? Put a 1-2 together? Come on. We're going to be talking about 1-2s and, again, that's another all-time great skill. We're going to be talking about that a little bit later. Again, this one's centered around all-time great mistakes. And again, John Mugabi can't go anywhere in the ring right now. He can't get away from Terry Norris. He can't because he has no boxing. He has no circling. He has no ability to stall the round out till he finds a good opening, till he can make his opponent make a mistake. He can't do it at all. So as soon as he gets hurt, Terry Norris is infinitely better at getting on the line with him and blasting him, right? Now, we're going to very, very quickly go through a little bit of this fight here, Terry Norris and Julian Jackson. And we're not going to be talking about this right now too much. This is another all-time great mistake, right? But when we're going to be talking about this a little bit later, I'm going to be making a whole video. But again, Terry Norris, I just want you guys to watch him circle and move around because we don't want to watch a whole fight, right? But it is beautiful to watch him move around, again, against a very, very, very good puncher. A guy who, again, we're going to watch a little bit in a second, didn't have to learn all the skills because he was a good puncher, right? Julian Jackson looking more like a bum, right? Without the head movement, without without the changing positions, being bladed. Now there are some fighters that are not going to be fast and good enough at boxing to force, right? Again, he can't cross the line. Julian Jackson, he is not a positional fighter, so he's trying to 1-1-2, just like John Mugabi, right? Bop, tries to get him, but he's stepping forward, boom, getting hit with the right hand over the top. Man, look at this guy. He's nuts. He's nuts. Right hand over the top. And again, he's not doing that to a bum. He's doing that to Julian Jackson. Look at him beating his ass. Boom. Gets on the line with them. We know he can hurt dudes, right? Boom. Slips to the front foot. Boom. 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 Right? Just throwing such amazing combinations, right? Julian Jackson can throw one punch, right? And he's getting hit twice. Boom. Hit him right there. Barely avoided a shot. Boom. Hitting him right there before he can get out of the position. Again, learning how to chain his punches together. Incredible hand speed. Incredible, man. Just jumping onto his line with a beautiful 1-2-3. Boom, boom. And again, no defensive responsibility from Julian Jackson. Catches the jab, right? He's got to have a good jab at least. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to beat the most basic of boxers to put pressure on them as they circle him. So he can catch the jab. He's got good power. Catches the jab. Doesn't normally have to block probably right hand. So he has no idea how to block a right hand right here. Eats the shot. Does he have good position after that? Not really. Little pendulum, continues his motion, boom, boom, throwing in some more shots. And again, so athletic, so, uh, man, just beautiful, beautiful, beautiful boxing from Terry Norris. And again, so fluid, chaining his sequences together. And again, if you want to learn how to do all this stuff, all the things that Terry Norris is doing, not the bad ones, not the bad parts. You want to learn how to chain them together. Check out the Fouts Boxing Academy. All the drills are there. Okay, there's over 100 drills. You just check it out. Okay, it's $13 a month if you get the 1 year subscription for a semi-private coaching. It's just not free coaching, but it's a community coaching. You just send in your drills and people teach you how to get better. It's a whole community of people. It won't just be me responding. There's 70 people learning, right? But again, understanding when the danger zone comes, right? Circling around, he's out of range, moving around until he gets to that position. Look at him take a step across the line. Now his head across the line before he starts pivoting here, right? And then getting into position, he knows, crossing the line again, doing the big move before he gets, and he can still continue to read when his opponent is going to be making a very, very quick motion and snapping out of the position, right? To race at him, right? And again, able to interact with him because he's faster, right? Oh, be faster. Again, I'll teach you to be faster as well, okay? Fouts Boxing Academy, work hard, okay? But again, Terry Norris still makes some very, very, very fatal flaws. But again, look at his understanding of that front foot position. And again, look at how good he is, right? Getting to that position. Again, look at Julian Jackson. No active guard. He's not really able to feint. Every time he gets to the line, it's very obvious when his weight gets there. He doesn't really know how to be the guy that's not the boxer either, right? Not until he's on the line with you and then he's just bashing you. And then usually if you get on the line with Julian Jackson for too long, he's going to knock you out. He's pretty good at first contact, but here, again, very common opener, right, from Julian Jackson, right side of the line, stepping jab, but he's getting timed by the better boxer, right, somebody who has more understanding of that position, right, and then again, once he gets to this position, is he going to peel? Is he going to follow up? Or is he going to counter what his opponent does? Because his opponent's going to do something, right? So he's going to just start following up. Boom. So he just follows up, and he throws two left hooks before Julian Jackson can throw his left hook. And Julian Jackson winds up landing on his arm, right? Not even landing a good consequential shot, and he eats two more punches, right? So again, getting more value out of just being a good puncher, right? Good hand speed, rather than being, having the other all-time great skills, right? Like pull counters on the front foot, right? Now, again, check him out here, getting to that front foot here. Here he is, baiting. He knows he's about to get interacted with. He pendulum steps right as he gets to the line, right? Oh, getting out of here, makes it to the front foot. Now he starts pivoting on the front foot, but he's waiting. He's ready, right? Pulling like this and still ready to snap into a jab himself, right? Just baiting that shot. Again, Julian Jackson, kind of slow. Not a very good boxer himself. Doesn't have very good ring generalship, right? Now, again, circling and moving, and then again getting back into the position here, right? Ready to interact with the jab. Sees his weight coming forward, interacts with the jab. Nothing coming from Julian Jackson there. Bounces around while he's out of range, figuring out where he's going to go, right? And then breaks this way, right? Now, again, when we take a look at this angle here, very, very, very dangerous here, right? Trying to get here under a possible right hand, right? Wasn't a right hand. I think he gets hit by one right there and then tries to pivot off and make it to the front foot here. Now, take a look at the big hole that he's going to have if he were blocking a this or this, if Julian Jackson were throwing a big overhand right. Okay, now again, one of the things I think that he does is blocking the body shot because it also helps him make that move easier because he can throw his hand down and pivot and swing this way, and it's more common for people to kind of catch you on the body as you're pivoting around anyway. Now again, interacting with him when he gets into range on the front foot, making sure that he's not out of position, just to that line, right? Just to that line, right? Just look how fine that positioning is, right? Boom. And now again here, can't cross his line here, right? And again here, look at how close that is. Look at their heads. Look at, again, I know you can see his hair right there, but man, they're just cheek to cheek on the line here. Just beautiful. And then they leave, right? And now they come back, right? And now he's crossing his line. Took a big wide step right there, right? And again, to peel out of range. And now moving into range, catching the jab. And then again, interacting with the rear hand. Enough control, the jab, so that he can still continue circling. Makes it to that front foot position because that's a position that he gets put in a lot, right? Where he has to make a defensive move. Last time we saw him smack John Mugabi with the left hook, right? Came out of that position. This time, after his opponent uses all, what am I going to do? He smacks him with the jab, right? Still enough to come back and then peel off the line. Now again, coming and crossing that line right there with the slip this way, not with his guard up, right? Now, his intention is to slip there, so we're going to give him a complete pass, right? But I just want you to pay attention to his hand positioning. Circling, walking around, stepping around his opponent. Again, look at the fine line with their heads, right? Crossing his line. Now he's on the front foot. It's the only time he's there, right? Now moving toward the back foot. Getting his guard when he wants to cross the line, once his opponent's in position to snap on his line, right? Once he's ready. Now crossing the line again, setting his trap, and again, anticipating catching the jab, the very, very common stepping jab. So a good adjustment from Jackson, and then a Jackson going, and then doing probably like one of the only things he can do from that position. He could probably throw a right hand sometimes too, but snapping into a jab as a follow-up himself. And then just finding himself, because again, he doesn't have the greatest footwork. He's not the greatest boxer. He's not the greatest this, right? He winds finding himself in a position where, again, Terry Norris comes down and jumps up with a leaping hook right there. Very, very easy shot. Now, again, excellent ring generalship. But again, Terry Norris, I don't want to say like being a little bit flashy or doing this, but we see just so many flaws and so many holes here with his guard, trying to be more fancy rather than having control over the line and trusting his positions. Again, likely because he doesn't actually block right hands very well, right? We see his tight guard here. And again, look at him bring his hand down, anticipating a body. We can see him getting smacked in the head already when he's crossing, right? And again, get into that position, feinting it there, and then using it only to buy time. And again, forcing Julian Jackson to sell out a little bit, right? Explode out of it. Again, getting to this position, careening around the line here, right? Boom. Just playing around that line, right? Couple of baiting. Now he knows he's going to get challenged here, right? Because they're cutting off the ring, right? Julian Jackson's going to try to pendulum and jump on his line. How does Julian Jackson jump on the line, guys? Well, he's going to do it from the right side of the line, right? Goes to the left side of the line with the control, throws the left hand, right? Because he has to jump onto the line with the left hand so he can throw his right hand. Boom. And very predictable, very obvious. But even if it's predictable and obvious, he's still going to do it because everything lines up so well that his goal is just to get on the line with the guy and then hopefully just let hands throw. Right? He's just like, let's go, bro. You know? But and if his opponent, right? We know Terry Norris doesn't have as much power as Julian Jackson, right? So that's exactly how Julian Jackson has to win the fight, is by being on the line with him as much possible time as possible, right? Being on the line with him as much as possible. Like that would be like in wrestling terms. So we'll call it like on the line time, right? So Julian Jackson is the guy that needs more on the line time in this fight than his opponent. And his opponent needs less on the line time, right? Because he's at advantage, right? And Julian Jackson is like, okay, as soon as however I can get it, right? Here he is. He can't go backwards anymore, right? So he picked a good time to jump on his line to try to just smack him, right? Because the guy is way faster than him. He's, because of inevitabilities, right? Now, again, losing on the line still, right, because of the hand speed, but it's the only advantage that he has. He's not going to be able to outbox this guy who can so easily move and avoid his stuff. And again, he just doesn't do block and interact with the right hands very well. I just don't like the way that he chooses to do it. He chooses to always be so athletic and try to duck under them. Again, it's a style thing, right? If you want to learn my style, you want to learn what I would do instead, you want to learn da-da-da-da-da-da-da, check out the Fouts Boxing Academy. The drills are in there. Okay. My goal is to use the Fouts Boxing Academy to make the fewest amount of errors possible, coaching someone with one entire cohesive system, put it all together to make the perfect fighter. Okay. Check out the Fouts Boxing Academy. Again, all the best ways to circle and step around and move around your opponent, all the best ways to control the line while you're doing it, and all the best ways to also learn how to be the best striker, to learn how to be Julian Jackson, to learn how to be John the Beast Mugabi. Okay, all the secrets are solved. Okay, not just to teach you how to throw your best punch, right? Teach you how to improve your best punch, and also how to correctly get on the line with your opponent so you can land your best punch. Fouts Boxing Academy. Okay. Now again, playing around on the line. Again, Terry Norris, beautiful, beautiful boxing. Again, dipping around. Again, not really going down with his pull here, right? Going straight back and then coming back. And again, when you're fighting a guy like this, right? He just hit him with a punch. He just hit him, and now he's pull countering him after making contact. Boom, boom, boom. Throwing a three-piece combination. The cost of business for attacking him is so high. The cost of business for attacking him is so high that you might get knocked out at any point, right? A three-punch combination like that, right? If Ryan Garcia falls off balance throwing his left hook and he gets on the line with Terry Norris, boom, 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 is he done? Is he done? Well, he's going to wind up in a position where he's like this, oh, don't hurt me. And what, a combination like that is coming at you? Well, we're going to take a look at that. We're going to talk about that in a second. Hold on a second. But the cost of business for attacking him is so high, right? Playing around on the line, getting to that position, again, front foot, back foot, front foot. Left side of the line, controls him as he gets into range, and then just peels. Takes a big step, right? Penduluming around. Outside of the range, right? Looking to get into range with him. Knowing where the line is, instead of engaging with him, moving away, again, circling, choosing his place, right, outside of the range to get into his position, right? Boom. Beautiful. End of the round. Okay, all right. It's a long video. Sorry, guys. Not really. But again, learning how to circle, learning how to move around, very important skill. Now, beautiful, beautiful move here, right? Gets to the front foot, very, very, very common position, gets attacked here. Nothing came, right? But he still can't stay here either, right? So he comes up with the left hook here. Beautiful. If you want to learn the Fouts boxing version of this move, check it out. It's in the academy, again, but mine's better. I'll teach you how to do it better, teach you how to do it faster, teach you how to set it up as well, okay? Teach you how to do all that stuff just a little better. But now, again, Julian Jackson gets his wet dream. Boom, comes up, misses his shot. He moves his head. Again, very, very similar position where he always throws them, but he had the pull first. In this position, comes under, right? Gets coiled. Now, again, Julian Jackson out of position. Why is he out of position? Because he just threw a punch and he's already overextending himself, trying to catch the faster, the better boxer, the guy who has more knowledge, the guy who has better footwork, the guy who has better coordination, right? But now, he fell off balance after he sacrificed all his athleticism, and he's in a position where his technique is stressed and he's going to get hit. Boop, 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 boop. And it doesn't matter if he's better on the line and he has more power and it's the only place to win. He's so far behind at that point in speed, he has to pay the toll, right? He's going to have to get hit. Sucks, man. That's what happens when you're a bad fighter. Right? What can you say? Isn't it? That's the cost of business. You just get hit. Okay, it's time for him to pay. All right? He's just got to figure out a system where he's going to pay the least, right? Where his opponent has to pay more than he does. Pretty well predicted position right there for him. Still wasn't enough for him to knock him out, so they have to go through the rigmarole again, right? Again, I just don't like the way he gets away from right hands at all. I just don't like it. You'll see why. Interacting with the jab here, waiting for the right hand, pulling here, coming up, boom. Oh, excellent, excellent left uppercut right there. Excellent shot. Beautiful, beautiful work. Excellent shot again. Interacting with the jab. He knows his opponent's going to get to that front foot. He's bringing his weight to the front foot. Anticipates it. Boom. Slips to the front foot. Boom. Body shot. Beautiful boxing, right? Beautiful. Just playing with Julian Jackson. Again, it's very, very dangerous to pivot on the front foot because that's where all the action happens. And again, look at how good Terry Norris is at that position, right? knowing exactly when to get into it, knowing how to step around. Absolutely beautiful boxing. Cutting a little close here, and again, not looking to interact with the right hand, trying to roll under it, right? Again, very, very dangerous. It's not the move you always want to be going for. And again, one of the reasons, because he doesn't know how to block a right hand, right? And now here we see it right here. Gets on the line with them, throws the right hand. He anticipates it being a body shot. He tries to block the body and the head. Very, very, very common mistake. Rest in peace, Terry Norris. Right hand here, boom, still gets hit. Right? Doesn't have his guard up. Doesn't have, you know. Now, again, he's so dangerous in this position. He's such a good fighter on the line still. He's got enough speed. He's got a couple of tricks. Pull, boom, poking him back to his circling, back to his position. Oh, man, and just out. All that, and for one mistake. Again, if you don't know all the tricks and you don't know all the ways that you're supposed to do it, right? If you don't know the best ways to train this stuff, okay, you're going to wind up getting knocked out. You're going to wind up getting on the line with someone that cuts off the ring just well enough. And again, he's penduluming in, 1-1, right? Parrying the jab. He anticipates it being a body shot, doesn't know how to block. Now, again, I would say in this position, here's the thing. If he hits you in the body, probably going to be fine. Sucks, but you're probably going to be okay. It's going to hurt. Don't get hit too many times, right? Because eventually you won't be fine. But you're not recovering from the headshot. How do we know that? Well, look what happened when he got hit in the head. Okay, case in point, right? If you're trying to spend so much effort trying to specifically block the body here, you're going to be paying a huge cost. Okay, you're going to be paying a huge cost more often than you're going to be saving yourself from a fight-ending shot to the body. Right? It just doesn't make any sense to risk it. Right? Because again, a guy like this from a performance like that, that was some beautiful boxing. Have you ever seen anything like that before? It's just amazing, right? The guy is nuts. And it doesn't matter because he made one mistake. Right? Anyway, got so much more film to take a look at today. Who's this? Another example again, of some boxing, right? Now, we're going to watch Harold Graham outbox Julian Jackson, and we're just going to kind of play it through. Again, Julian Jackson doesn't know how to catch punches, block punches. He doesn't really have great control of the line. He doesn't have good head movement. All of those things become so much worse when you're fighting a southpaw, when all you have is your power. But again, he's going to get so clearly outboxed here, and he's going to have such a hard time this whole fight, right? Getting onto the line with Harold Graham, because he's not fast. He's not super tricky. He's not a good boxer, right? Look at, just able to get to that front foot here, start throwing rear hand probes, starts dominating him, right? And again, there's just a level of fighter that you get to be when you are a hard puncher, right? It's not that his strategy was so good or I was just looking for the whole. No, it's that you're not a good fighter, right? You might have a trick, and one trick and good power is enough to beat so many people, right? If it's just one trick, man. But imagine if you had all the tricks. Again, Fouts Boxing Academy. Okay. Now again, Julian Jackson is so far behind. He doesn't know what to do in any of these positions. He doesn't know how to box this guy. He doesn't know how to. Right. He's lost. Right. But again, at some point, your opponent has to come get value. They have to be able to hit you. Right. Now, the crazy thing, Harold Graham, better boxer than him and faster hand speed than him. Right. Boom, boom, boom. Right. Just putting the punches together. Easy. Right. Ta, ta, ta. I mean, the last one's kind of a push, but a very, very, very difficult fight for Julian Jackson, really exposing him, as the lack of creativity, the lack of ability to interact with his opponent's punches, right? His inability to throw multiple punches, right? How often does he throw very good combinations, right? This is indicative of his balance, right? His ability to actually understand what he's doing when he throws his punches, right? This is one of those things that tells you that a guy doesn't really understand what he's doing when he throws a punch and he misses it and he falls off balance. We know that he's a great puncher, right? We know that we know that he hits hard when he gets you, but we don't know that he's a great striker. Again, if you want to learn how to be a great striker, I know all the tricks. I know all of them. Every single one, I can teach them to you. Okay? If you're not good enough to do them, then I have to start really low, right? Again, check out the Fouts Boxing combat system. I'm going to teach you exactly what Ryan Garcia does, right? The Fouts Boxing combat system. If you don't want to join the academy, right, the Fouts Boxing combat system, you can learn it all there. But I'm going to teach you exactly what Ryan Garcia is doing. I'm going to teach you exactly what he does to generate power and speed, exactly what Tank Davis is doing, but better. I know more than them. Okay? Teach you how to improve it. Yeah, all that great stuff. Now, again, the fact that he's falling off balance tells you that he doesn't really know what he's doing, right? He's doing so much of it on accident. And that's why he can't really chain these incredible punches together, right? We can see that he generates so much force. We can see that that's a killer shot, right? In fact, we've definitely seen Julian Jackson knock guys out with like that exact punch. But again, he's just going to continually get outboxed. The guy gets on the line with him. He's not able to counter this very, very basic shot here, right? Not able to counter this shot here either. The guy's able to throw 3 whole punches at him and then completely get off the line. And again, he throws this right hand. Boom. Look at him fall off balance, right? He throws 1 punch at the guy, right? Can't even chain them together, right? He's stepping forward. Boom, boom. All those holes are filled immediately. He can't even get across the line. Now, again, Harold Graham only has to hit so hard when the guy's moving into you, right? But I'm sure that he's got some decent power. He looks strong. But again, what happens when you wind up getting into a position like that? Now, again, we've seen Harold Graham already smack him up a bunch of times. Harold Graham doesn't have great power, right? But again, there's inevitabilities, right? And it only takes one mistake, right? It only takes one mistake. So after all these rounds of ass whoopings, we're gonna watch the last round, right? But after all the rounds of him, I think this is the last round. Again, getting on his line, right? Going for broke, right? Eventually, the guy's gonna try to that, throwing 1 punch, falling off balance, throwing 1 punch, right? And then again, there's a cost of business. At a high level, you're not just fighting that bum in your gym, right? Where your one little trick worked, right? You're going to fight a guy who doesn't have as many holes, right? You're going to fight another world champion. You're going to fight the best guy at some other gym, right? Straight up, some Pokemon bad shit, right? You're going to fight that gym leader's gym, right? Gym leader, right? The best guy at their gym. You're going to clash, and it's going to be for a world title. Again, so out of position, right? Penduluming, boom, boom, boom. Beautiful hand speed. And again, he can't even catch this guy. He can't chain 2 things together, right? Even off of his jab. Honestly surprising how bad he looks in this fight, right? I always thought it was in the 6th round that he hurt him. Again, can't chain things together, has no good defense. Can't really catch and block punches, falls off balance. Again, gave him so much time. Boom. Boom. That one was close though. Right? But look at how much he has to sell out to try to get this guy out of position. Right? That's so much energy right there. And again, with no payoff and all the risks still, right? Cool. I'm like leaning back. I'm like, woo. The guy had to sit on his line here, right? After landing, boom, boom, throwing 3 punches. Still didn't get him. He jumped on his line and threw 3 punches, and he still couldn't get him. Bop, bop, bop. Crazy. Now, what's happening? He's getting him in the line, right? Or in the corner, right? He's getting too tired to move out of the corner. What does that mean? If he's too tired to move out of the corner, that means he's about to get knocked out, right? He's about to get knocked out. Oh, damn. He's about to get knocked out. He's getting too tired to get out of the corner, and he jumps on the line, throws a rear hand, pendulum, throws a rear hand, doesn't move out of that position. He left his head there for too many beats, right? Across the line, 1 beat, 2 beat, 3 beat, and then the guy's able to finally catch him with a good shot, right? Beautiful, beautiful shot. Now, that's what should happen, right? When a guy gets stuck on the back foot. Now, that's interesting because that doesn't happen when Ryan Garcia gets stuck on the back foot, right? When we take a look at that very, very, very funny fight. Getting to the front foot, blasting into those shots, getting enough control over him. This is one of those things, by the way. Look at how genuine and nice he is. This is one of those things that makes me like, did this guy really take steroids, man? I don't know. I've heard that Ostarine doesn't even really help you with that stuff. I don't know. I don't know that much about us. Don't criticize. Don't. I don't want to hear it. Okay, please. All right. But he's like, oh, my bad, dude. My bad. Yeah. Ugh. Anyway. Touch glove. Yeah, that's nice. Getting pushed off his line. Interacting in that position. Senses his opponent crossing the line. Boom, boom. Throws those punches. Once his opponent starts making it to the front foot to control him. Right? His opponent, again, with the little decent guard the whole time. Now, again, Ryan Garcia doesn't want to move to the front foot right there, doesn't want to continue circling, looks to take a break, blah, 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 in this position here. But what happens when you get into a position like this against Terry Norris? He's busting you up, right? He's busting you up. Okay. Now, I know you guys want to talk Philly shell stuff. We're going to talk about it. Okay. We're going to talk a little bit about that stuff too. But when he gets stuck in this position, he can't even throw the left hook, right? He can't get out of this position. And again, his opponent's just allowed to throw punches at him. And this is what should happen in the fight, right? That's what should be happening. But again, these guys are not killers. These guys are not from that era. These guys, you know, I don't want to say bums or anything, right? But we're going to take a look at, nope, not yet. Yeah, actually, we will take a look at this one. Okay, so Maidana versus Mayweather is a very interesting fight. We're going to just turn on some highlights because the enigma that Mayweather is, right? Okay, now, real quick. Well, the enigma that Mayweather is, we can all see that obviously, very, very, very obviously, he's, you know, we'll say the best of his generation, right? And when we talk about all-time greats, that's really all we can say. He was the best of his generation. We can't really say that here he is getting hurt with his bad defense, which we're going to highlight a little bit more often, a little bit later. But here, allows him to get to this position. Boom, hits him right on top of the head because this guard sucks. You can't block the body and the head, and here he is trying to block the body and the head with the right hand. He's got it like all the way up here now, but notice it's only on his face. It doesn't really guard the front of his face here. It's a bad guard. He winds up getting smashed here, and then now he's hurt. We can see he gets hit with a leather liver shot here. Then the highlight moves on. We just got the highlights on. That rear hand, again, we're just going to watch him get battered a little bit. Now, Maidana doesn't knock him out. Now, Maidana is not Jaron Ennis. He's not Virgil Ortiz. He's not Kavaliauskas. He's not even Jeff Horn, right? Maidana's a hard puncher, right? He's a hard puncher, but is he fast? Is he dynamic? Is he a great athlete? Like, you have to be, so fast, in order to throw a really hard shot. You have to be so skilled of a striker, right? Because he is doing a lot of the things correctly, right? But he's also doing a lot of the things incorrectly, right? Which is why Mayweather is so much faster than him. Now, again, Mayweather is a guy that we can very clearly see can do all the things, right? Very, very easily jumping off the line. Boom. Here's the 1-2. He's getting off the line. This is why Mayweather would always pendulum. Again, Mayweather doesn't block right hands very well. That's why he always jumps off the line, pendulum steps off the line, ducks below the waist so he doesn't have to interact with it, right? He's like a better version-ish of Terry Norris. He's nowhere near, right? Really, if you had like Terry Norris today, like that guy's nuts, still the same flaw of the right hand, but like if he gets to do what Mayweather did and like just duck below the waist and grab, because notice he didn't do that shit either, right? Duck below the waist a couple times, Ugh. But uh, but Mayweather has all these strategies to avoid the right hand like that because he doesn't know how to block one, right? And it's this whole massive culminating effect on his style. How do you wind up becoming successful in spite of your flaws? What does the mold look like, right? And that's what Mayweather squeezed out. Under these conditions, how do you be successful with this amount of knowledge? Oh, well, you do this skill and that skill and this and that. Also, you have to literally be the best athlete of your generation, right? You have to be so well conditioned, so strong. Again, everyone says Mayweather's stronger than he looks, right? Okay. Again, he's one of the strongest and fastest guys of his generation. Um, and he's fighting in much inferior athlete in Marcos Maidana. Now, Marcos Maidana was still able to bridge the gap between his knowledge and Mayweather's knowledge, right? Because of, being able to set stuff up, being able to, be a little bit crafty, right? You're able to bridge the gap. But as we saw with Terry Norris versus John Mugabi, he wasn't really able to set it up. He wasn't really able to chain anything and put it together against Terry Norris because Terry Norris wound up catching him and hurting him. Now, why does Mayweather do shit like this, like sit on the ropes and allow his opponents to throw punches at him? Does anybody know? Does anybody know? Because Mayweather's fast. Look at how quick he was, right? Very poor defensive responsibility there and wound up costing him some punches. Very quick jab right there, on the line, off the line. Boom, on the line, off the line with that jab. Oh, that's pretty sick. On the line, off the line. Oh, easily able to just jump off the line from the jab here. Boom, boom. High cost of business, right? Pretty good, right? Well, if Mayweather can do this and that and this and boom, boom, boom and do that every time he gets on the line with his opponent, why does he wind up doing all that other stuff? Well, at a high level, all of this stuff takes an incredible amount of energy and amount of effort. It's not just this easy thing that you're doing, right? And he winds up doing it, getting control, block, 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 right? Landed maybe like one punch, maybe two punches, But it's this massive amount of effort that's imposed on you in order to control your opponents like this, in order to be able to do this stuff. And Mayweather, just like Terry Norris, filling the space where he's not smashing you, not Manny Pacquiaoing you with good boxing and circling and moving around, not hugging, not grabbing and ducking below the waist, right? Terry Norris got knocked out more than Mayweather too. Because he paid the cost of business. He wasn't a cheat. He should have been penalized. If you don't want to get knocked out, right? Go ahead and lose the point, right? But like, take a knee, something. But like, you don't just get to cheat, right? Now, what happens to Mayweather when he pays the cost of business, right? We're gonna see. Okay. By the way, this is what happens because Mayweather knocked out Ricky Hatton, right? He knocked out Ricky Hatton with the cheap shot. Anyone who ever tried to touch gloves, Mayweather tried to touch gloves with after that, even with people who he respected, because Mayweather tried to do it with other people that he respected, but nobody would touch gloves with him. He ruined his own reputation there, but it's one of those things where it's like nobody was ever like, nah, I trust you, Mayweather. Like, and it sucks because, Mayweather did get headbutted by him, like a pretty crazy, blatant headbutt, right? It was like, I don't want to say it's not his fault, but like, he was kind of doing his own stuff and being, I don't want to say fighting for his own space with his head, but keeping his head here, but not allowing Victor Ortiz to shove his head around on his chest because they were trying to be physical with Mayweather. But Victor Ortiz is not a physical fighter. He's not an inside fighter. He's a pretty boy boxer, with punching power. He's one of my favorite fighters when I was growing up. I loved Victor Ortiz. I teach Orthodox. Everything I teach is Orthodox. But I'm a Southpaw. But all my stuff is um what the hell am I saying? Oh yeah, so I always had a fondness for watching Victor Ortiz. One of my goats had a ton of flaws, but I just loved watching him. I never missed a Victor Ortiz fight, you know. Um, and then he had to fight Collazo, one of my other favorite fighters. Oh my goodness, I'm just like love watching that fight. Anyway, why does Mayweather sit on the ropes like this? Well, it's because he can't do this all fight. Even though Maidana sucks, he just used a whole bunch of energy and wasn't able to put him out, right? So now he has to go recover, right? So he doesn't gas out. And this is where he recovers because he can't box, because he can't block right hands. So he has to find a way to bait them into places where he can duck below the waist and make them predictable so he doesn't get hit with the right hands because he can't block them, right? Again, he doesn't know. Got hit very cleanly with that right hand. He doesn't know how to block them, so he has this style where he inevitably has to fight in these positions where he's on the ropes, right? And then again, at the end of the rounds, trying to steal punches back, right? Because I don't want to say he's falling behind on the cards, but the way that he's filling the space, right, in the rounds because of his flaws, right? Again, very, very bad against getting away from right hands. And again, Mayweather's lucky that he competed in an era where um, where people were not as fast and snappy as he, right? He was the fastest, strongest guy. Like Zab Judah is an outlier. Zab Judah is one of those guys that was, but again, Zab Judah never really learned how to box and do all that stuff super well himself because he was so good at punching. He could hit people so well. Now, again, we see this and we know from the rules, right? Is this good body mechanics? Is he doing all the things correctly? Is he guessing, right? We saw Terry Norris get hit with a right hand, right? Guessing the body, right? Is he going to get hit by somebody? Say this is Ryan Garcia on his line. Is Ryan Garcia getting him? Oh, shit. Look at that. Caught him with the right hand. He's kind of rolling a little bit of it, eating a body shot here, but he can't keep throwing all those punches, right? Now, a little bit of proof of concept. Again, we're going to watch a little bit of another fight in a second. Now, again, can Mayweather do this every time someone throws a jab at him? No. He can't do that either because that takes up so much energy. And again, also not very good at getting away from rear hands, right? That was better than most people. But Mayweather prefers the dart here. Again, I don't prefer this move. I think this is sometimes you're going to do it, but this is one of Mayweather's most preferred moves, right? But check out the Fouts Boxing Academy again. Teach you how to do all this stuff better. Right here, again, Mayweather not very good. You can't predict, right? And again, did he ever fight a Julian Jackson? Did he ever fight a John Mugabi? Did he ever fight a Sugar Ray Leonard? Whack, right? You can't block the body and you can't block the head. Okay. Anyway, he winds up in a position again where he has to again rest, right? But because he's not very good at blocking right hands, he can't continue circling all the way to the left, right? So he tries to find a way to get into a position where he can just get his opponent on the line with him and bait shots, Philly shell, right? And then fight from these planted positions more often, right? Is he controlling him? Is he leashing him? Now these are also things that Mayweather can do, right? But all those things also take a lot of effort, right? But if your opponent knows, like Mayweather doesn't trust that he's going to be able to knock Maidana out, he knows that he has to continue moving and circling and doing this the whole fight. Okay? And again, that's why it was so valuable for him to find opportunities to wrestle and hold on the inside, to duck below the waist and mitigate people's right hands. Now, again, Mayweather is also not very good at striking with combinations. He's definitely no Terry Norris. We can very, very, very clearly see the difference between them, right? And their ability, right? Those big, big, big rounded punches. Decent straight shot right there from Mayweather, but there's no real power in those shots. And again, he can do these like fancy things in these in the Philly shell here, but we've seen him get hit cleanly, right? But we also know Maidana is not the greatest puncher. He's not. Now, we're going to take a look at a little bit of Sugar Ray Leonard versus Mayweather Sr. Now, Mayweather Sr., dude, this guy was fast as well. Here he is fighting again. They're about the same height, okay? And Sugar Ray Leonard, pretty damn good striker himself. Now, real quick, look at him get on the line. Look at how fast he is, right? Look at how quick his hands are, okay? Blasting away against Sugar Ray Leonard. Now, Sugar Ray Leonard, not often in this position either because he is very fast. He's a hard puncher. Decent boxing, right? Decent ability to circle. He doesn't have the best guard, so Tommy Hearns would be able to hit him with the right hands when he circles because he doesn't keep his left hand up because he tries to block body shots because he just doesn't, right? He just doesn't. And again, we're going to be taking a look at Terrence Crawford at the end versus Errol Spence. Again, with an all-time great performance against average fighter, you know. But look at this incredible amount of effort that he's able to put on the line. If he can do this, why doesn't he just do this until he wins the fight? Don't stop doing it. Just go. Go. Oh, because he needs to rest. And what does he do when he rests? Right? Well, surprise, he's not very good at blocking right hands either. So he's going to get into these positions where he can try to avoid them on the ropes and he can try to make them predictable. Okay, it has to go here because I'm going to go, and I'll just try to, let's go, and I'm going to, and he's going to try to spoil, right? So there he is, trying to interact with it, catch the jab, and then here, tries to kind of tuck it a little bit, and then counter, right? Uh-oh. He's not ready to tuck and counter every single one, so he gets hit with a clean one there, right? Now again, this is what happens when you fight a guy who's a pretty good striker, right? Look at him right across the line here, tap, tap, and then here's this right hand right here, right on the chin. Oh, it looks like he rolls it a little bit. Ooh. I actually thought he got hit with both of those shots. But it looks like he missed both of those. Sugar Ray Leonard did. Bop. That one looks like it touches him. And it looks like he almost gets hit. But man, look at Senior's hands, man. He's so fast, dude. But he can't do that for 12 rounds. 3 minutes a round for 12 rounds, right? But he also doesn't really know how to block jabs or right hands. He doesn't really know how to block on that side. And again, you can't just block the body or the head. You can't guard both of them, right? So he chooses the body, kind of rolling that one. Now again, how many people in Floyd Mayweather's career did he ever fight that could chain a right hand and a left hook together like this? How many? Look at this, a beautiful, beautiful striking. Pop, pop, right? How many? We saw Maidana throw some very slow left hooks, right? But look at him crashing that shot down on him, right? Now again, this is the kind of stuff that should be happening to Ryan Garcia if he fought a killer, right? Somebody who can just sit in the position and just rain punches down, right? You have to be able to interact with these guys correctly, right? You can't just let them get in a position where they can just throw punches at you over and over and over again, right? And again, Mayweather Sr., same flaws, doesn't know how to block right hands. I want to say his circling is a little bit better than this. The fight doesn't really do Sugar Ray Leonard justice, or doesn't do Mayweather Sr.'s boxing justice, because I remember when I watched this fight the first time, 2005, I think, maybe, something like that. It wound up on YouTube, and I was like, oh my God, I can't even believe this is here. What is this? This is amazing. Again, was Mayweather ever this good at striking? Ever? No. But we can see that Mayweather Sr. doesn't have any punching power, right? So he has to be that fast and be that tall and have the Philly shell defense. But again, like I talked about at the beginning of the fight, or the beginning of the video with Terry Norris being a weight bully, on average, he's pretty big for the size. This is what happens when you fight a guy who's your size and has similar advantages as you, except the fact that, like, how similar a fighter are these guys? In theory, right? Sugar Ray Leonard just punches harder, right? But they're very similar. Not really, but like attribute-wise, oh my goodness. But I remember thinking when I watched this fight back in all the time ago, that Mayweather Sr. was winning every second of this round, that he wasn't getting completely battered. Now, again, when you got fake defenses, right, you're just going to get cracked sometimes. And again, the referee is not just going to let you take easy shots like that over and over and over again. And again, how many people did Mayweather Sr. ever fight that were as good as, or Mayweather Jr. fight that were ever as good a striker as Leonard, that are the same height as him, right? Right? Again, he doesn't fight people who can throw and chain punches together, that are hard punchers. All the strikers that he ever fought were single punch fighters. Victor Ortiz is an outlier to that. He was actually one of those guys, and Zab Judah as well. He did piece Zab Judah up pretty well. Zab Judah always has a thing about crumbling, you know. He always gets tired or this or that. But that's not the point. He beat Zab Judah, which is great, you know. I think some people think he lost. He also did get dropped in one round. In a round that he still might have won because he wasn't really hurt, but he did get dropped. But that's not here or there. But again, Mayweather style, you know, again, it only existed because he fought in an era, the weakest era of boxing. He fought against people who were mostly just not that good at athletes, right? Very, 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 very bad fighters. Fighters that would be in like, you know, the bottom 50th, the bottom 50th percentile, you know, just average, you know. Not that good, you know. And now that brings us to a little bit of Terence Crawford, who, you know, if we had to ask ourselves, well, what was it? Crawford is a guy, notice as he gets to the front foot here, right? He's going to be taking this big step around, right? So he can be here onto the line. He can predict. He can make the positions that he steps onto the line predictable. He's in a position to interact with his opponent's jab, or he's getting into a position where he's getting close enough to throw his own, right? Now he's staying on the line and maintaining control, right? Now, he doesn't always block right hands well himself, or I'll say rear hands. In this case, he's going to be fighting Southpaw Errol Spence, so the rear hand, Southpaw, because he also makes the same kind of mistake-ish. You know, he has, on average, a better guard than somebody like Mayweather, right? But also, he doesn't have the very unique flaw of just not punching hard, right? Again, punching power is not a myth anymore. It's not something you're born with. It's something I can teach you to train. I can teach you how to do it. 100% guaranteed. Okay? Check out the Fouts Boxing Combat System or the Fouts Boxing Academy. Send in your videos. Learn the way to do it. Okay? I know all the ways to do it. All the ways. So now again, Terence Crawford, a little bit better of a guard here. We can see him again. But there's, again, this massive hole here, right? This massive, massive, massive hole over this, that if a shot came, it could. Attention to Terence Crawford. Again, choosing the body here. Errol Spence has no guard. Easily getting hit over the top. Now, also, I want you to pay attention to Errol Spence. Errol Spence doesn't step around or circle. He walks straight into you. Straight into you, just coming forward like this. Again, he's not very good at circling or stepping around himself. He's a guy that got around in his whole entire career being the taller fighter. Taller fighter, stepping jabs, southpaw. All the advantages are in his favor because people, you know, worst era in history, right? He's a weight bully, right? So he has fewer reason to learn everything, right? And like people think he hits hard, but mostly he can kind of flood the line if you get on the line with him. Bah, 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 bah. Like he could throw like a decent combination, you know, decent like of straight punches. He's got decent hand speed. He's not the hardest puncher himself. But Terence Crawford, again, right? But again, watch Errol Spence coming straight forward, right? He doesn't even step forward at all. And Terence Crawford, at least he is stepping around, right? Trying to step around. Trying to find an angle, right? We're going to talk about this a little bit more in the future, okay? But again, choosing a bad block here, still seeing the shot coming. Again, all-time great skill, parrying the jab, looking to interact with the rear hand, showing that he could see it. He could just be countering right here. We'll see him do that in a little bit later. But again, ready to interact with the rear hands, choosing, again, big hole, choosing the body and the head, not just one. Errol Spence battering forward straight, looking to disrupt him there with the 1-1-2, right? Controlling him, not letting him get all those jabs out. Now again, stepping around, right? Take a look at Terence Crawford moving off the line here, and look at him take a wide step here, right? Getting planted before they cross the line, parrying the jab because their heads are so close. Errol Spence decides to make a move because Errol Spence can't circle. He can't step around. He's not very good at that stuff. So he has to find an opportunity where his head is close enough that he can just go, wah, and try to get you with the shot. So he does it. However, Terence Crawford is in that danger zone. He's on the front foot, that place where people are not allowed to pivot because look at what happens when you get there. If he was trying to pivot right here, Errol Spence would have got him with that jab. And just take a look at the position that Errol Spence is in. Right? Here he is on the back half, right? Penduluming here. Look at how he's all the way on the back half of his line, right? But because he's fast, because he's snappy, wow, right? He can try to come forward with his own jab, right? Disrupting your ability to move or pivot, right? Beautiful follow-ups from Crawford. Now again, not very good at blocking the shot. At least he sees it and he knows that it's coming. He's got his glove up. It's kind of touching him around the side. Maybe it's making it difficult for Errol Spence to see where it's going. He's kind of winging a little bit of it. Errol Spence is not even the hardest puncher. He just gets away with being bigger than everybody. And once he gets on the line and you can't get away, he's got fast hands and he can 2-1-2-1-2 you, right? But not the hardest puncher himself. And again, not the best at blocking. But again, at some point, if you're the faster, you're a harder puncher, you're this, you're that, it doesn't really matter, right? So he just has to find an opportunity to see he's going to start throwing these shots, right? Now, again, all-time great skill, catching the jab right there, and then countering Errol Spence, right? Again, he doesn't always want to be directly on the line with Errol Spence just challenging him, right? He wants to find a better opportunity, right? An opportunity to make Errol Spence reach for him, right? Stepping around here. Making him reach for him here, right? Reaching for the jab and then able to counter him, right? Not giving him a very good opportunity, a very good punch, right? Not giving him he has a very low hanging fruit and he goes for it, right? Now, I think that was right after he was able to land a jab to the body of his own. But again, I want to point out Errol Spence, not very good at blocking punches himself, right? Eating a shot here, going straight in. Again, he's not very good at circling and stepping around himself. Coming forward, you can't just stop a guy from just throwing punches at you, right? And again, John the Beast Mugabi, Julian Jackson, same strategy, right? Just come onto the line 1-1-2. That's the exact same combination that he got Terry Norris with, right? Julian Jackson, 1-1-2, pushed him off the line, right? Boom, boom, and then came in with the rear hand as he came forward. He thought it was going to be a body. Again, Errol Spence not even a hard puncher. Right? Not even that hard. Okay? Again, big hole for being an all-time possible great fighter for Crawford to have, right? But I also predicted that Bivol would beat Canelo as well as Terence Crawford. Very good at stepping around, right? Because Terence Crawford can learn. But he has two hands, right? He does. Can actually circle and step around his opponents, which Ryan Garcia not very good at. He can actually control the line with either hand. He can't block with his lead hand, but he can control than blocking the rear hand. His guard, he has a better shot at blocking the rear hand or the lead hand hook than the rear hand. But anyway, Ryan Garcia doesn't usually throw very many rear hand probes. He does sometimes. He does. He can, but doesn't usually always do it. Doesn't usually always. Anyway, if Ryan Garcia got on the line with Terence Crawford is a guy, I don't want to say he doesn't have to kill him anytime he wants to, right? But be making it out of the fight or out of the round, and he can change shots like this to this so quickly, right? With either hand, right? And that's Terence Crawford, right? Terence Crawford is that guy. I want to say that I don't want to say he doesn't have the killer instinct. I was 100% sure predicting the Kavaliauskas fight that Kavaliauskas was going to hurt and drop Crawford. I knew it. I called it in the pre-fight because he doesn't always get going. He likes to have a long, drawn-out fight. The same thing with Sean Porter, right? He didn't just knock Sean Porter out, and as soon as they told him he was down, he went out there and obliterated him. dropped him immediately twice, right? So there's opportunity there to beat Terrence Crawford, because Terrence Crawford, I don't know what he's always trying to accomplish in the ring, you know, like, but it does feel like at the beginning of the first round he could have just walked out right at the beginning of the first round. In fact, right, his hand is so close to the line that it's almost on the inside of the line, like he's doing this. Right? Use here, boom. Again, check them out, read them. You know, learn everything that you want to learn about boxing. I can teach it to you.